Okay, it's no secret that food prices keep rising up in 2026. And how can growing your own food actually help? Let me ask you something. When's the last time you walked out of the grocery store feeling good about what you spent? Not fine. And I guess that's how it is now. Actually good. If you're having trouble of remembering, then you're not alone. You're not imagining this. Food prices in 2026 are genuinely higher, and that's mostly due to inflation. The reasons behind that are worth understanding because once you understand why it's happening, you can start making moves that actually help your household. That's what we're doing today. We're going to break down why food costs keep climbing, and then we're going to talk about what a home garden can realistically do about it. Not in a quit your job and move to a farm kind of way, but we're talking about a practical, beginner friendly way. You can actually do this right now. And yes, we're going to talk about tomatoes because tomatoes are having a moment in 2026 and not the good kind. Now, let's start with why food prices are going up first. When it costs more to grow food and it costs more to move food, and there's less food available than people want to buy, in 2026, we're dealing with all three at the same time. That's what makes this a particular stretch that feels so rough at the checkout line. The first thing working against us is inflation, as I mentioned earlier, and it's still sticky. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released their Consumer Price Index, or CPI, report in April of 2026. And the food prices, especially the grocery store ones, or what they call food at home, are still climbing month over month. This isn't just restaurants passing more off for your, soda or charging you now for refills. This is your kitchen, your fridge, and your weekly shopping list. The second factor is transportation and supply chain costs. Even when farms grow plenty of food, that food still has to be harvested, packed, shipped across the country, kept cold, and delivered right to your store. When fuel costs go up, the labor cost becomes more expensive. When logistics get complicated, the food cost doesn't just disappear, they end up in your price tag. Grocery stores aren't going to eat that cost for you. It's not really their thing. The third thing is drought. This is one that deserves more attention, and we will have videos coming out about drought and how to conserve water. It's been reported that over 60% of lower 48 states are experiencing some form of drought the conditions in May of 2026. When water is scarce, crop yields drop, quality drops, pest and disease pressure goes up, and the whole growing process gets more expensive, which eventually becomes your problem at the store, even before any shortage reaches your shelf. And the fourth factor is trade and tariff costs. Now, we hear about this probably more, and you probably have an education in tariffs and trade now with the news. Let's just go to explain the cause and effect. When the tariff affects the goods flowing in and out of the country, the costs ripple through the supply chain. The Joint Economic Committee of the United States Senate estimated in March of 2026 that tariff related costs could average more than $12,500 per household for the year. This kind of pressure finds its way into food prices one way or the other. Now, tomatoes became the poster child for this whole situation because the coverage of April 2026 CPI, that's Consumer Price Index data, noted that tomato prices surged nearly 40% year over year. Now that's 40%, 40 now. The humble tomato, the vegetable that used to just show up quietly in your salad, is now asking for a speaking role and a salary. What happened? The same things that we just talked about, whether it impacts supply chain costs or trade disruptions, all hit tomatoes at once. Tomatoes had what you might call a full 2026 experience. And that's what might make you a little frustrated, then good. That frustration is useful because now we can talk about what to do with it. Now, here's the mindset shift that I want you to take away from this video. And you're not going to go out and negotiate the global supply chain price. You're not going to fix inflation by being angry about it in the aisle 7. What you're going to do is reduce how much you depend on that system for things you eat. And we've done this in the past in history. Most self sufficiency doesn't mean that you grow 100% of your food and disappear into the woods. It means that you grow enough of a certain things that when the prices spike, you feel it less. You have a buffer, you have options. This is what a garden actually does for your household. It's not a hobby, it's a hedge. And right now, it's one of the more practical ones available to regular people. A garden helps you in three concrete ways. First, it reduces repeat purchases. You're not trying to grow everything, you're just targeting items that you buy over and over again, especially the ones that spike in price, like tomatoes, the ones that spoil quickly, like tomatoes, and the ones that cost a lot per pound, like tomatoes. And that's where your garden does the most financial work. Second, it reduces your food waste. A lot of grocery spending gets thrown away because life gets busy and things go bad before you use them. We also have a video on composting, so now you can add that to your list of what to watch. When you grow food, you tend to harvest smaller amounts more regularly, which means you're eating things fresh instead of finding them 3 weeks later in the back of that produce drawer in your fridge. Not that any of us have ever done that. Third, it builds a buffer against price shocks when tomatoes jump 40%. You just don't have to pay peak prices for peak demand. Vegetable, actually, tomatoes are fruit because it has seeds. If you're already growing some in your own yard, you're taking yourself, at least particularly, out of the equation. And let's get practical about how to actually build a garden that helps with this. The first step is to start with what I call the high impact five. They're the crops that give beginner gardeners the best return for their effort. When it comes to grocery savings, tomatoes, yes, the villain of this story, actually, what an innocent villain, is your best ally. Fresh tomatoes, sauce, salsa, the grocery value of production of a tomato plant is real. Peppers, that's another one. They're expensive to buy regularly, and they store reasonably well. They're easier to grow than most people expect. Leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, arugula, those are cut and come again crops, meaning you harvest them from the same plant multiple times. They grow fast and they're particularly pricey in the store for what you actually get. Herbs, basil, cilantro, and parsley are next. Have you ever looked at the price of fresh herbs lately? A tiny plastic clamshell of basil costs $3 to $4, and half of it wilts before you use it. One basil plant can easily supply you for the whole summertime. That's not gardening, that's just math. Green onions are next. These might be the best beginner crops on the list because they practically regrow themselves after you cut them. You can root store-bought green onions in a glass of water and plant them. They're almost trying to help you if you think about it. The second step is to choose a growing system that actually fits your real life, not the version your life where you have unlimited time and energy, but one that actually fits your life right now. If you have a balcony or a patio, you live in an apartment, containers or grow bags work well. I've done tons of videos about apartment growing. You could grow surprisingly amount in a small space. If you have a yard, a raised bed, or even a simple in-ground row, garden is a great starting point. If you have, lower back problems, then use a raised garden. If you have a larger property, you can start small and scale from there. Build a routine that helps you build an operation. And you can also get your friends to help with that and share crops with them for labor. Number one, the reason gardens fail is not because of bad soil and bad seeds. It's taking too much too fast and burning out by July. The third step is to solve three problems that end most beginner gardens before they really get going. The first is watering. Inconsistent watering is one of the leading causes of problems in the vegetable garden, especially with tomatoes. This can cause issues like blossom end rot, where the bottom of your tomatoes turns dark and soft, which is unpleasant as it sounds. Believe me, I've experienced this. You don't need a fancy irrigation system. You just need a consistent watering schedule, a layer of mulch that holds in the moisture in, and a habit that pays close attention during hot spells. And I have videos on pest control for all of these crops. The second problem is the heat. Extreme heat in 2026 has plenty of it, and it can actually reduce pollination in plants like tomatoes and peppers. When it's too hot, bees and other pollinators slow down. They ain't trying to be out in the heat, nor are we. And the flowers do not set fruit properly. Shade cloths, which I will attach in this video for Amazon affiliate links, and watering in the early morning and good airflow around your plants can help you keep production going through the hottest parts of the season. The third is pests. And I have a video on that too, folks. I'm trying to keep you covered. And here's the thing about pests, they're extremely reliable and they will show up. The one question is whether you catch them early or late. Scout your plants at least once a week and look at the underside of leaves. Underneath, that's where they like to be. Catch the problem when it's small. And IPM, or integrated pest management, is which means starting with at least one disruptive solution, and that's the right approach. Physical removal, a strong spray of water, row covers, targeted treatments when needed, these all help. Gardeners who struggle with the most pests are usually the ones who wait too long to act. Fourth step is to preserve what your garden produces because something new gardeners often discover. When vegetables start to come in, they tend to come in all at once, which means I have no tomatoes to having more tomatoes than I could possibly eat in the next 4 days. This is where the buddy system comes in. It's a good problem to have, but only if you're ready for it. This is why having a community works. The USDA tracks food prices, and long-term trend is clear that costs will be going up over time. So the value of preserving your harvest is real. Dehydrating, canning, freezing are all ways to lock in the value of what you grew when it was free, so you're drawing it in later. And when the store prices are high, your summer garden can feel like your winter table if you're ready to capture that abundance. So here's where we land. Food prices are rising in 2026 for real documented reasons. Inflation pressure hasn't fully settled. Drought conditions are affecting more than half of the country. Rising transportation and logistic costs, policy-related disruptions rippling through the supply chain. These are real forces, and they're not going away overnight. But you're not powerless. Let me remind you of that. Not even close. A garden won't solve all of it, but it will grow your options. And in a year when everything feels more expensive, having more options is generally powerful. So, to start, where you are, grow what you can actually eat. Build a system that's simple enough that you can stick with through the entire season. And next time the grocery store wants to charge you for more top dollar for a tomato, you could walk home and eat one right out of your own yard or your balcony. I call that a really good return on investment. I call it a real net gain. Let's be honest, there's nothing like it. If this is the kind of content that helps you, please consider subscribing to me for more out there because we're going to put out more videos. And look at my catalog because I got a lot that helps with beginner friendly gardening, growing your own food, and building a little more independence one season at a time. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me one vegetable you're planning to grow this year, and I can send you a link if we've already done a video on that. And that's what's just getting you started. Tell me what's holding you back. I'm here to help. I read all your comments, and I want to inspire you for future videos to come. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's get our hands dirty. That's it, folks. You can go to Ancestry Lands to start owning property today with payments starting at $250 a month, no credit checks, and owning land has never been easier. It's time to build your land portfolio one property at a time. We help you to get dollars from dirt and build generational wealth by owning small plots of affordable vacant land. Contact us to learn more. Oh, and speaking of dollars from dirt, I also wrote a book about investing in land for you readers out there. My book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, is on Amazon. The link is in the description section below. Inside, you'll learn simple, easy to read insights that will have you understanding why you should own land today. For more tips and tricks, subscribe for updates, comment below, and let us know what you enjoyed about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
And remember, like and subscribe.